Hello, hello, welcome back. We are still playing Mass Recall, and this time we are starting a new campaign, the Overmind. So we are leaving the Terran Dominion behind, and we will become a proud member of the Swarm as, you know, the Zerg race, right? So let's start. There's a lot I have to talk about here in this mission. This is just the first mission among the ruins. As you can see, we are on Transitus, so there's a lot to talk about, but let's first start with the story and the briefing, and then we'll get into the mission. Zerg campaign, Overmind. The swarms have crushed the meager human resistance and laid waste to 9 of the 13 Terran worlds. Shortly after the fall of the Terran capital world of Transitus, the main Protoss fleet abandoned the Terran sector. Now efforts continue on Transitus to weed out the remaining Protoss forces. So we are on Transitus. If you remember from the Terran campaign, Rebel Yell, Transitus fell to the Zerg because of Mengsk and his Psi-emitters. So now let's meet our new friends from the Zerg Swarm.
Awaken, my child, and embrace the glory that is your birthright. Know that I am the Overmind, the eternal will of the Swarm, and that you have been created to serve me. Behold that I shall set you amongst the greatest of my Cerebrates, that you might benefit from their wisdom and experience. Yet your purpose is unique. While they carry forth my will to the innumerable broods, you have but one charge entrusted to your care. For I have found a creature that may yet become the greatest of my agents. Even now, it resides within a protective chrysalis, awaiting its rebirth into the swarm. You must watch over the chrysalis and ensure that no harm comes to the creature within it. Go now, and keep safe my prize.
Yes, my master.
So, that was the Overmind. He's the CEO of the Zerg, the president, whatever you want to call it, and we have been born into this world as a Cerebrate. And as the Cerebrate is, like, if the Overmind is the CEO, the Cerebrates are like upper management. If the Overmind is the president of the country, the Cerebrates are like the admirals, right? The, the Joint Chiefs. So this mission will be an introduction to the Zerg. As much as I can give you an introduction to the Zerg, it is kind of a standard tutorial. However, it's a little bit more involved than the Terran tutorial because the game expects you to know some of the basics, because the game expects you to have finished the Terran campaign, right? Anyway, that was the briefing, that was the Overmind. Our objectives are to create a spawning pool, to create a Hydralisk den, and to protect the Chrysalis. As always, we are playing on hard, and so let's start. And we're gonna watch a nice cutscene made by the modders. So, first thing I wanna say. I have decided to change my hotkey setup and to learn how to play grid. If you know anything about StarCraft and you've seen my Rebel Yell and my Loomings series, you could notice that my hotkeys were like the standard hotkey setup. Now I am playing on the grid, which is going to make it a lot harder until I get used to this. However, I think it's beneficial because grid is in general a better hotkey setup, even though I've been playing standard my whole life. So that's just one thing to say. The other thing is, I'm not going to talk a lot in the beginning of this mission because...
The hatchery is the heart of any Zerg colony. It spontaneously generates larvae, which in turn are used to spawn your various warriors and minions. Now, create a drone and start gathering resources.
Because of this, right? Dagoth, one of the other Cerebrates, is going to, like, talk...
Overlords provide control for your minions. As your forces grow in number, you must hatch more Overlords to control them. You have enough minerals. Select a larva and mutate it into an Overlord. To create new warrior strains, you must generate the various hive structures. The drones themselves mutate into these structures, yet be careful. Never use your last drone to make a building.
Yep, so Dagoth, another one of the Cerebrates, is going to kind of give us an introduction into Zerg. So I'm not gonna talk a lot over him. For now, I'm just droning. So, this here, this what you see, this is called creep. This is kind of the essence of the Zerg base. And if you remember New Gettysburg, the mission that I played, there I said that Terrans build a base and the Protoss warp in a base. For the Zerg grow a base. So the Zerg, we are growing a base. So a Zerg base, in my mind, is like a body, an organism, and each of the like buildings are kind of organs of this body. So I'm building another Overlord. Overlord, this is an Overlord. Where is he? Where did I put my Overlord? Oh, here he is. So Overlords are observers, and they are like they're like the supply depot of Zerg, right? So also drones. For Zerg, drones...
Now, order your drone to become a spawning pool. You'll notice that structures can only implant themselves upon the creep. You can make creep colonies to extend the creep, but only a hatchery can be built upon open ground.
Right, so, for Zerg, workers are not just mining, workers also become buildings.
Depleted.
Right, they become the structures that you want to build. And all structures need to be built on creep, except the hatchery.
Not enough minerals.
The hatchery is the only Zerg building that can be built outside of creep, and then it creates creep. This is a creep colony. When you build it, it spreads creep around, right?
Greetings, I am Zaz. I too am a Cerebrate of the Overmind. I have located a small band of Terrans who could threaten the Chrysalis and the Hive Cluster. You must not allow them to leave here alive.
Right, so here's the Terran base. We need to destroy this base. So like I said, this mission is a tutorial mission, but it's a little more involved than your standard, right? The standard missions that you saw before. It's not super hard, but it gives us time to talk about stuff. So like I said, this is creep. Wherever creep is spread, our map is like visible. So we can see up to here because our creep is up to here. And we can see up to here because our creep is up to here. I am going to build another creep colony. You can turn creep colonies into sunken colonies or spore colonies. Sunken colonies have like a spike that comes through the ground and it impales, like, you know, ground forces. While spore colonies, oh yeah, I can't build a spore colony yet. I need an evo chamber. I'm gonna put an evo chamber here. A spore colony shoots in the air. So now we have Zergling speed. Our Zerglings are much, much faster. I am now collecting some money so that I can build another hatchery. Now, one interesting thing about the Zerg, we're gonna put the hatchery right here. One interesting thing about the Zerg is that, unlike Terran that have to build like a factory to build tanks and Goliaths and a starport to build air stuff or anything, for Zerg, everything, all units are built from the hatchery. The hatchery can evolve into a lair, and then after a lair it can evolve into a hive. And the hatchery produces larvae, so this is larva. Larvae can mutate into different forms of Zerg. To build Zerglings you need a spawning pool, to build Hydralisks you need a Hydralisk den, to build Mutalisks or Guardians you need a Spire, and so on and so on. So you need buildings in order to, like, you know, get enough DNA, let's say, to build Hydralisk. So this is a Hydralisk den. I'm going to build it, and it's going to give me access to build Hydralisks, which is what we want. And I'm also building another hatchery here. So the more hatcheries you have, the more units you can make, because a hatchery can only have up to 3 larvae, and it slowly creates them. So if you have more hatcheries, you get more larvae, which means you can build. You can have more units. Zerglings, by the way, absolutely amazing. Their only real counter is Firebats. Right, the only counter to Zerglings is Firebat. So let's take our Zerglings here, let's take this guy here, and let's attack this area, because we want an expansion. Alright, so let's put our Zerglings here, let's get this guy to become another hatchery. This is an expansion, so we want an expansion. And we are also going to build a few Hydralisks. A Hydra is 25 gas and 75 minerals. Not too expensive. So let's connect all these. Let's put units here. And let's build more Hydras. We need to wait for some Hydras. We need to evolve. Yeah, oh yeah, the buildings for Zerg. So the spawning pool gives you access to Zerglings, and there was Zergling speed researchable in here. This is an evolution chamber. This is where you get +1 melee attack, ranged attack, like missile attack, and ground carapace. So all the upgrades, you know how we had like +1, +2, +3 weapons in the engineering bay. Very similar here for Zerg, but they can. Yeah, you can evolve. So I evolved +1 like melee. Now I'm evolving +1 ranged, which will give my Hydras that are ranged +1 attack, and then we're gonna get carapace. Also, we are going to research some Hydra upgrades. So let's go up and let's attack. It's not great to attack. Actually, no, let's just wait here. We need to wait a little bit more. We need another Overlord soon. So one of the cool things about Zerg is that if you're like, let's say I'm at 27 out of 27, I can't build anything. I can always just morph my drone into some building or something, and I have one less supply, right? These guys just don't give up at all, so we're gonna kill them. Have our Hydras kill the raids, because raids, you know how raids are. Raids are dumb. So let's keep this here, let's get more Hydras. Okay, so this has evolved. We need 50 to make another sunken colony, so these two will help us. Because they're gonna, you know how Mass Recall is, they're gonna trickle in units. We're gonna get a few more drones. How many guys do I have here? I'm gonna move one guy here. I don't really care that much. But you know. So everything is produced from this one building. The hatchery makes all of the units, and which units you can make depends on like which upgrades you have. So +1 missile will soon be done, then we can get +1 ground carapace. We don't really need +1 ground carapace, really. Like, I'm making a lot more units than we actually need here. I just want to show you how this works. So in StarCraft 2, creep actually has multiple functions. For example, your units move faster while on creep. Here in StarCraft 1, it's not the case. It's just a place where you put your units, your buildings. Sorry. Nothing else is actually like. There's no other use for creep. Now that we have Hydra speed upgraded, so let's go up and let's attack. And let's also.
More overlords required.
More overlords. Okay, I'll make an overlord. So their expansion is here, and here's an attack force. And we're gonna kill them. All our Zerglings died, but we don't really care. We can always make more. But Hydras are just amazing. Hydras can also be like stutter-stepped. Not as fast as like Marines, right? They can still be stutter-stepped pretty easily. So we're gonna keep these guys here for a while.
Swarm forces under attack.
And we're gonna build some more Hydras. And some Zerglings. I'm gonna just keep these guys spread out here, right? Just hold position. We're gonna build another force up here, and then we're gonna bring them together.
Not enough minerals.
So yeah, that's kind of Zerg, right? It's a bit different because you have to think about larva. For now, I can have a maximum 9 larva because 333, right? So if I let it just, you know, sit and accumulate, I'll get the maximum of 9 larva. We're gonna get a few Zerglings.
Depleted.
Do we have ground carapace? No, we don't care about ground carapace. We'll just keep building Zerglings.
Swarm forces under attack. More overlords.
Oh yeah, Overlord. Okay, we'll get another Overlord. Overlord is 100 minerals, by the way. It's not super expensive. We're gonna put the Overlord is good for like sending out
under attack.
To how do I say it? So he's good for spotting, right? We can
Insufficient overlords.
all right, no Overlords. We need to wait a little bit until he's hatched. Okay, now we can build more Hydras and a bit more Zerglings.
Minerals required.
We got a fair bit. So Zerglings build 2 at a time, so one every time.
Swarm forces under attack.
Okay, I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna put this here. Yeah, so just keep in mind, I'm making this mission a bit longer than it needs to be, just so I can show off like everything
More overlords required.
about the Zerg. Yeah, and also like I'm not that like worried about the grid layout. I kind of got it pretty well at hand. I got used to it. I tried a few missions,
Overlords.
of course. I tried, of course, to play with that. So I just need to like wait for a few Overlords, then I'll make a few more Zerglings. I'm making, like I said, I'm making more than I need. Like these guys are more than enough to break this base, but I just want to show off how amazing the Zerg are because I like playing Zerg. I haven't played Zerg in like, I think 2.5 years at all. That's the last time I played either Mass Recall or Heart of the Swarm. So this is a good excuse to attack. We're just gonna go. So for Zerglings, you gotta kinda herd them like cats. Get them into a base and then you let them loose. And they just chew everything up really quickly. We send them here. There's a few Goliaths. There's a few. We keep making more Zerglings, just more Zerglings, and now we get everybody to attack. With the old army hotkey from 2 sides, they should be like going down pretty quickly. And we just get them to kill this. And it's gonna get destroyed, and that's gonna be the mission. So yeah, new adventure, new campaign, new everything, grid layouts. And we are playing Zerg, right? That was the first mission, and that's it. That's number 1. And we're gonna end the video here. It is a bit shorter, but still, if we play the second mission, it's gonna be like 40 minutes. I think that's too much. This is enough just as an intro to Zerg. So like I said, you grow a base, right? We will see in the next mission a little bit more. And I can say that the first half of this campaign is really not that hard. really not terrible, right? It's pretty easy. It gets harder after this because, you know, by the time you're done with Rebel Yell, you're pretty on point with everything, so this is not too hard. Anyway, that was Among the Ruins. That was the start of the Zerg campaign. I will thank you for watching. Survival rate is fine. This is fine. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.